A lot of times it's uncovering what they haven't thought about. And, they've been so focused on running that business, they haven't thought about what legacy means to them. But almost every business owner we talk to has some interest in that business carrying on without them or their employees being taken care of by whoever the next business owner is. And so that is all part of legacy planning.
Welcome to our Happy Rainmakers video series where point one can make a difference. Today, I'm very lucky to be joined by Todd Enghauser and Megan Kearney, who are partners in Exit Factor. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us, Jennifer.
Yeah, happy to be here.
You mentioned if someone passes away, people think about that when they have older people working with them, but you never know what happens. I mean, we saw during COVID that some younger people died, and just, being in a car or on a plane or standing in the street, it could happen. And so I think a lot of younger business owners don't consider that could be a possibility. And that might be a reason to do at least some succession planning. So if something were to happen to that owner, the business can keep going.
Yeah. And that starts pretty simply with structure of the business, but there's also things like contracts and lease agreements that people don't consider and think about during times like that make that transition harder in the future if something did happen.
What's the shortest amount of time that somebody could plan? I get a lot of, I'd like to retire when, I don't know, Monday, 3 weeks ago. I started in the office last week. Is it too early?
We like to say if people have at least a year, then we can do a great job. And longer, even better. But if it's less than that, it's really a case by case scenario. If somebody has to sell tomorrow, let's say it's a death in the family, health issues, divorce, things like this, it's going to be hard for us to increase the value of that business in a short period of time. But that doesn't mean we can't help put some of that stuff in motion. So we do think planning ahead makes a lot of sense. If there's something that needs to turn right away, usually, 6 months to a year it is pretty much the minimum. Under 6 months, we're probably just going to maybe refer you out to a business broker or look at ways that we can bring value, but doing it in a quicker format than going through the process.
I heard one of you mention that sometimes you can help find that successor for the business. I'm asked to do that sometimes too, like bring in a partner who's going to take over the law firm. And I find that I would like to have more time for that rather than less time. I'd like that to be closer to that 5-year mark you were talking about and further away from just a year or two, because you want to work side by side with that person and make the clients trust that person and make sure that you trust that person before you're ready to retire as a business owner, right?
Absolutely. I'll let Megan jump in here too, but often people don't think of that scenario as part of an exit. Most of the time, people are assuming the exit means just selling the business or walking away completely. But there are cases where exit can mean that you're putting an operator in place or grooming somebody to take over. So you can look at that as a way to scale back your time and maybe even turn that into a passive income stream that you can take on into the future.
I worked with a business coach once that said from the first day you start your business, you should always be thinking of the bigger decisions you make in terms of whether you wanted to franchise, license, or sell. And so every time you have a policy or make a hire or have a strategy for your business, you have to see that on the horizon. Would you recommend that also?
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think thinking ahead, and it's hard. Like a small business owner, especially, that they're doing the day to day, often running and managing that business. It's hard to see, 10 steps ahead or 2 years ahead, even in those cases. But if they go with that advice, they're going to be in good hands because then they can think about where this thing ends. The bottom line is everybody exits the business at some point, one way or another, so there is going to be an exit. So are you prepared for that?
Someone I was just speaking with, they're like, the reason why you own a business is to sell it. They're like, no matter what. And I'm like, yes, it is to sell, but it's also to exit in other capacities as well. So no matter what. I mean, we talk about legacy, like we want to continue that forward, whether that's you running the business or someone else.
Just like every business owner, law firm owners and law firm managing partners are very busy in the day to day. And sometimes they think they're going to plan for the future later. And unfortunately, they don't always get a choice of when that's going to be. So I think you would be very well served reaching out to you to talk about some of these issues right now.
A lot of times it's uncovering what they haven't thought about. And, they've been so focused on running that business, they haven't thought about what legacy means to them. But almost every business owner we talk to has some interest in that business carrying on without them, or their employees being taken care of by whoever the next business owner is. And so that is all part of legacy planning.
That makes a lot of sense. This was, I'm sure, very helpful to everybody who is watching this video. We're going to have all your contact information so they can reach out and get some of their more individual questions answered. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank
Thank
you.